Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Salatu wassalam ala Sayyid al-Anbiya wal Mursaleen, Allahumma alimna ma yanfa'una wa anfa'na bima tu'alimuna wa zidna bi fadlika ilman wa ta'liman innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. Okay, so it says punishment of theft. Pretty sure we were there. Yes. As for male and female thieves, cut off their hands for what they have done, a deterrent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So this is a had punishment. We spoke about this, I believe, last week or the week before. What is the concept of the had punishment? Had means a limit, right? You can't cross that limit. So this is a universal law that will apply to all people and all time, irrespective of what's happening. And it's there as not the right of this person who is abused, but the right of society. What does that mean? It means I steal from you, and you say, Fareed, what's your problem? You need some money? I'll help you out. You don't need to steal from me. Okay, that's personal between me and you. Once this issue comes to the court, it's not between me and you. Okay, it's not your right. You can't say it's okay, I forgive him, because it's not your personal right for my hand to be cut off. Rather, it is the right of society. Okay. And it says as a deterrent, right? As a deterrent. And as we mentioned again, I'm pretty sure we mentioned this like 2 weeks ago, it is not a very large sum of money. We're talking about something like the equivalent of 60 for like $60 to $70, something like that. Right? It's not a large not a large amount of money, right? So it is stealing, meaning stealing from a من حرز مثله, from a place where something that would be stored, right? So you broke into someone's house and stole their jewelry. That's where jewelry is stored. Somebody left their phone on top of their car. You noticed it and took it. That does not count as theft. That's not what we mean by sadiqah. Okay, so sadiqah is stealing something of a certain sum of money from where it is stored and hidden. Okay, armed robbery is not called sadiqah. Organized armed robbery can be another thing, but you got a gun, you walk into a store and say, give me your money. That is not called sadiqah. That's something else. There's no had punishment for that, right? But there's a had punishment for breaking into a store and stealing things, right? There's a different kind of thing. Okay, and Allah is Almighty, All-Wise. But whoever repents after their wrongdoing and mends their ways, Allah will surely turn to them forgiveness. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive them, but it is the right of society. Just give me 1 second. It is the right of society that this person's hand get cut off, so nobody can forgive it. Right? It is not your personal right to forgive them. You can't do that. So they may be forgiven by Allah. That's fantastic between them and Allah. All right, but between society, this has to happen. Right? Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all forgiving, all merciful. So it does not mean that we hate people. Right? We do not hate people. We don't say, "Oh, you're a sinner. We hate you." Right? We're saying it is the right of society, it is the need of society for this to happen. Right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do you not know that that the kingdom of the heavens and the earth belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He punishes, so he who did you steal from then? You didn't steal from you, stole from Allah. He punishes whomever he wills and forgives whomever he wills. And Allah is most capable of everything. O Messenger, do not grieve for those who race to disbelief. Right? This is going to happen. SubhanAllah. Sometimes it's very difficult if you have like non-Muslim relatives. Does anybody here have non-Muslim relatives? No? Yes? You do, Zaid? It's hard, like when you try and give da'wah to them and they don't listen. And then sometimes you doubt yourself. You're like, oh, subhanAllah, maybe I didn't give da'wah properly. Maybe I didn't do this, maybe I didn't do that. Right? And then the Prophet ﷺ, who's giving the best da'wah and putting his all into it, he's still seeing that people don't listen. That's the nature of things. People will not listen. Right? There are people who will simply not listen. And they will race to disbelief. They just jump to it. Those who say we believe with their tongues alone, but in their hearts there's disbelief. Nor those among the Jews who eagerly listen to lies, attentive to those who are too arrogant to come to you. They distort the scripture, taking rules out of context, then say, if this is the ruling you get from Muhammad, accept it. If not, beware. Right? So this is the idea that Jesus came and he broke the rule. He broke the law of Moses, so therefore he's not a real prophet. And Muhammad sallallahu came and he broke the law of Moses, so therefore he's not a real one. So basically, they have this idea that the law of Moses is absolute. Anybody who changes it is obviously not a prophet, right? This is a kind of shubha, a clever moral trick that they use to not accept new prophets. Whoever Allah allows to be deluded, you can never be of any help to them against Allah. So just know that's the reality. There are people who will, despite everything, go into sin. There are people, despite everything, they will do kufr. That's how they are. It is not Allah's will to purify their hearts. For them, there is a horrible disgrace. Lahum khizyun. Khizyun is indefinite. A shocking and unlimited disgrace in this life. Excuse me. They will suffer a tremendous punishment in the next life. They eagerly listen to falsehood and consume forbidden gain, haram, right? Haram money. So if they come to you, O Prophet, either judge between them or turn away from them. So this is an issue in fiqh is, are we obliged to judge between Ahl Kitab or not? Right, so here mentions either turn away from them. So how does it work? It's a bit more complex than it seems here, but there's an issue in debate like, are we obliged to judge between Ahl Kitab, and if so, which Sharia do we use, theirs or ours? If you turn away from them, they cannot harm you whatsoever. But if you judge between them, then do so justly. Surely Allah loves those who are just. Well, why do they come to you for judgment when they already have the Torah containing Allah's judgment? So what's the issue here? Is they're coming to you not because they want guidance, it's because they don't want the guidance that they have. So they're basically cherry picking. They're trying to find something cool in Islam that was convenient to them. Maybe, for example, the scenario that they had of stoning to death, right? So the Jews had an issue of two people committing zina and being stoned to death, and they didn't want them stoned to death. So they came to the Prophet ﷺ and they said, what's your judgment? You're the ruler. What's your judgment? So they're basically trying to get out of it, right? Then turn away after all. They are not true believers. So they don't really believe in their own scripture. They're not going to believe in you. They don't have this attitude, right? Indeed, we revealed the Torah containing guidance and light by which the prophets who submitted themselves to Allah made judgment for Jews. So too did the rabbis, the scholars, judge according to Allah's book, which they were entrusted and of which they were made keepers. So do not fear the people, but rather fear me. Right? So this is a very, very important attitude of the believer is khawf al-khalq. You do not fear people. So whenever you feel intimidated by somebody or pressured into somebody, you fear displeasing that person in and of themselves, not offending. Offending is one thing, but fear that person themselves, right? You fear offending that person because of the person, as opposed to offending that person because of Allah. This is called khawf al-khalq, and this is haram, right? And so you have to, whenever you feel intimidated or scared of a person or a thing, you always make tawbah and turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, oh Allah, I fearing anything but you, right? I can remember I used to walk past this graveyard at night, right? There was these two buses to my house when I was a teenager. One of them was like, the bus would stop like 5 miles away from my house. So I had to walk through these country lanes in the middle of the night, like 10 o'clock at night. And I had to walk past this churchyard. And there was these graves, like, oh my God, this is like proper horror film, So I remember walking really, really fast, like, I really don't want to be here, right? That's not good, right? It's a normal, natural thing, right? Just like showing off is a normal, natural thing. Just like being lazy is a normal, natural thing. Just like being selfish is a normal, natural thing. But it's a normal, natural thing that we have to fight. It's like, that's not true, right? It's not, the grave's not going to come out and get you. The dark is not going to harm you, right? He is the Lord of daybreak. He's the one who's controlling night and day, right? that person shouting at you is not, you know. So you shouldn't be scared of your mum, shouldn't be scared of your dad, shouldn't be scared of your spouse, shouldn't be scared of your manager, shouldn't be scared of World War IV, whatever it is, you know. We shouldn't be scared of anybody. So this attitude of I don't give a damn is a really important attitude. Like I really don't care, sue me kind of attitude, right? This is how the Prophet ﷺ was, how the Sahaba were. Obviously, it can be taken out of context where you can make people who are rude, and that's not good. But it should be like, I'm not intimidated by you, and I'm scared of you, right? That's one of the biggest fears that people who want to control people have, right? When they see that you're not scared of them, that's a really big problem, right? And it's fun. I'm always telling people not to watch TV, but always quoting TV that, you know, one of the key tricks of the shaitan is to make you scared, right? Get to you through fear, you know? It's a really, really big thing. And so this film, It, right? You all know It, horror film. Probably came out when you were like -2, Zaid. I don't know when it came out, but I probably watched it like late. Yusuf, you know the film It?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, right? They did a remake of it. I haven't seen the remake. I don't know. Right?
It wasn't bad, but yeah,
Okay.
you shouldn't. You
Okay.
shouldn't.
You shouldn't see it. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
there's a scene in It in the original one where the people who are fighting It are all holding hands, and he comes to them and makes them scared, so they let go. And so this is exactly like the Ummah. Like the Ummah teams up. Don't fear the non-Muslims. Don't fear anything else. Team up. Hold hands. Don't be scared of anything else. You're fine. يَعْتَسَمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. Right? Seek protection and hold tight to the rope of Allah, one and all together. And then what happens? You get scared. What if I miss out? I've got to join teams with this country. I've got to team with that country. So you get scared, right? And that's how they get you, right? You get intimidated, right? I don't know if any of you are following me on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram in reality. I have somebody that shares stuff on Instagram. Um, I don't know what the Care Bears are. Anyway, but in you know, there's this quote in Shakespeare about Caesar, right? So Caesar is becoming exactly what America is becoming. So it's supposed to be a republic, a democratic republic, and it's becoming a monarchy, right? Caesar is basically becoming an emperor. So there's this phrase, what is it? What is it, Mikhail? Poor, poor fool or poor man, something. No, not Rochester, not Rochester. No, what would he be? Would he be a lion? Yeah, something like
We
basically.
wouldn't have been Heinz.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Basically, so my kids are here. They did the Shakespeare play last year or the year before. Can't remember when did we do it? Last year? 2 years ago. Anyway, so like basically Cassius is making the point. He's like, we have to like the only reason Caesar is getting more and more power is because we are hinds. He's only a lion because we are deers. Like we're like sheep. Like he'd only be a wolf because we're sheep. He's only a lion because we are hinds. We are hind is a female, I think a female deer, right? And so it's like that's how it is. I'm only controlling you because you're scared of me. If you weren't scared of me, I wouldn't be able to control you. So this issue of fear is a major thing, right? So Allah repeats this again, wala, right? Don't be scared of anybody else, right? Do not fear people, fear me, right? So these displacement, la ilaha illallah means don't have hope in anything other than Allah. Don't long for anything other than Allah. Don't aspire for anything other than Allah. Don't fear anything other than Allah. Don't turn to anything other than Allah. Don't be in awe of anything other than Allah, right? Again, today I was talking about the Porsche, right? TV and Porsche come in all my classes now. There's lots of Porsches here in Malaysia. So I'm walking to Fajr and it's like these two nice Porsche cars, right? The black one and the 30th. My son's like the 30th time he's saying this. Yeah, but it's a real practical thing. Like, so I'm walking to Fajr. What does it mean if I'm walking to Fajr, but I'm staring at the Porsche and I'm like, oh, I really like the Porsche? That means I'm not going to Fajr, right? That means La ilaha illallah is what? Where is it? uh, where is it? يقولون. They say it with their heart, with their, where is the thing? Right? They say we believe with their tongues. They say La ilaha illallah with their tongues. Yeah, but La ilaha illallah means there's no object of fear, there's no object of hope, there's no object of adoration, there's no object of hope. There's nothing to turn to apart from Allah. Right? That's what it means. Muhammad Rasulullah. How do you do that? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, through the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? So it doesn't mean anything if we don't actually do these things, right? So nor trade my revelations for a fleeting gain, right? And those who do not judge by what Allah has revealed, they are truly the disbelievers, right? So what does this verse mean? Those who do not judge by what Allah has revealed are truly the disbelievers. So if you have a Muslim country that does not abide by the Sharia, are they Muslims? I like the no question mark. They're still Muslims. So are they, is it's halal, it's totally fine, Sister Fahmia? Right? How do we leave Islam? We leave Islam by rejecting what made us Muslims, right? I believe La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, I'm Muslim. I don't believe it anymore, right? So what it means is you're a sinful Muslim. But is there a difference between a sinful Muslim and a non-Muslim?
Yeah.
Right? There's a huge difference, night and day, right? We're all sinful Muslims, right? We're not perfect Muslims. So there's a big difference between a sinful Muslim, right, and a kafir. So now what I do is I come along and I say, no, any Muslim country that follows French or English or American law, they are kuffar. Okay? You're kuffar, right? Then what's going to happen? All the people who enforce the law, all the police are also kuffar. So this literally happened in Jordan. There's a concert, a music concert in Jordan. There's a police car outside of it, right? Enforcing the law, protecting these people, their right to listen to haram music, do haram things. And somebody comes along and blows up the police car. Why? وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Right? And those who do not judge by what Allah has revealed, they are the true disbelievers. Right? That's wrong. This is how ISIS thinks. This is how Daesh thinks. This is how the extremist thinks. Khawarij, right? This is why Sayyidina Ali was killed. Sayyidina Ali, what did he do? He agreed to arbitration. He said, I am the Khalifa, but I'll agree to arbitration between myself and Sayyidina Muawiyah. His extremist followers said, you're not judging by what Allah revealed. You are the true Khalifa, and you don't have to arbitrate between you and somebody else. You judge. So by you breaking the Sharia, in our opinion, you have left Islam, and by leaving Islam, we're now going to kill you. This is how they work, right? This is how they work, right? And this is how ridiculous it gets. There was literally, I'm not joking, okay? So fine, extremism in Jordan or other places in the world, we understand financial, economic reasons, social reasons for that as well, okay? In Saudi Arabia, right? In Saudi Arabia, literally, right? Now things are turning the opposite direction, of course. We don't have extremism. We have the other type of extremism now in Saudi Arabia. Allah protect us. But back in the day, this is not long ago, there was literally a master's thesis, right? Literally, there was literally a master's thesis which was written, is it kufr to abide by FIFA rules in soccer? Literally. Like this person graduates in a BA in Sharia and they're doing their MA in Sharia. They do their coursework and they write a master's thesis that is going to be defended in a real university in Saudi Arabia. And the thesis is it kufr to abide by FIFA rules in soccer? So is that stupid or is that ridiculous? Or is that, what is that? Like what literally that's the phrase in what trash is Rome, right? If that's our master's thesis, where are we heading? Right? So does everyone understand that what it is? So they're saying that basically you made up rules for soccer. If you abide by those soccer rules, those rules are not in the Quran, so therefore it's disbelief. Like this is the kind of people that you're dealing with, right? This the kind of people dealing with this. So surprise, surprise, you're now going to go the opposite direction, right? So this is intentional, ladies and gentlemen, right? Intentional. Iran did the same thing. Make Iran extreme and then push people back the other way. You see the most licentious people, right? Muslims are going to be the Iranians, right? Because they're sick and tired of weird extremism in Iran. So they go the total opposite direction, right? Same thing, Saudi Arabia, right? Like exactly. It's like this is so does this make any sense, right? It's like so totally ridiculous, laughable, right? But it's not laughable, it's cryable in reality. Like you actually, that's what's happening. And because of the fuel money, poor kids in Jordan end up in prison for 25 years because you tried to blow up something, you tried to do this, you tried to do that, right? And other places, right? I'm saying Jordan because I lived in Jordan, but all over the place, right? This mentality, right? It sounds great, like, man, why are you not abiding by the Sharia? You're not a real Muslim. It's true, you're not a real Muslim, like not a 100% Muslim, true, but you're a Muslim, right? You're still a Muslim, right? So now what's going to happen? It's okay to rebel against these rulers. It's okay to fight against these rulers, and it creates continual chaos, right? That's the mentality of the Khawarij, the mentality of the ISIS mind, right? They will by nature they always continually have lots of groups. They will always be lots of different groups, right? Does that make sense? So this is a very, very dangerous way of thinking. But what is true though, what is true is you're trained, right, in marriage law, for example, in California, right? You focused in family law in California. You've worked for example, 5 years, 20 years in the courts, and then you start studying Sharia, and then you realize, you know what? There's a lot of internal conflict. Like you're kind of like, that's the system I used to work with and defend these rights and those rights, and now this is Sharia is like really, really different, right? It's really, really different. And it's not just one opinion or two opinions, but it's like certain fundamental rules, like, whoa, that's really different, you know? And and now you're like, I actually don't believe in this. Like, you've sat down, spoke to one scholar, another scholar, two scholars, and you're like, actually, I believe in Islam, like I believe in Allah and His Messenger, but I don't believe that the Sharia is right. Right? I don't believe that the rules Allah has given us, and I don't mean some opinions of some people, like as a general system, it is off. Inheritance is wrong, marriage is wrong. I don't believe in it. Right? This is kufr, right? If you say Allah's Sharia is wrong, then it's kufr, right? But there's a difference between Allah's Sharia is wrong and Allah's Sharia is right, but I'm just not going to enforce it because I can't, or I don't want to. Right? Does that make sense? So, for example, in my capacity, I was, Dean of Islamic Studies in California, genuinely doubted whether or not I should enforce hijab, genuinely doubting, right? Because I'm in California, I'm dealing with teenagers in California. Is it a good thing to enforce hijab? Or should we just encourage hijab, right? It's, to this day, I don't know. If you go and ask me, like, I don't know if you should enforce or not. But there's a big difference between I don't believe in hijab versus I don't think it's wise to enforce it on girls, teenage girls in California, given where they are and what's going on. Does that make sense? There's a big difference, right? There's a big difference between I understand that Sharia is right, but this is the international pressure. My hands are tied. I am not in control of this country, right? I am a puppet ruler of this country who is here trying to do the best that I can do given the circumstances. And this is all I can do. Right? You see the difference? As opposed to, I hate the Sharia and I think it should be changed. Right? I hate the Sharia means you hate Allah. Right? You can't say I believe in Allah and everything, but I don't believe the Sharia is right. That means you're telling Allah what you've told me to do is wrong, right? So there's a difference between rejecting a ruling and not applying a ruling. Make sense? And there's also a huge difference between objecting to certain interpretations of the Sharia versus the Sharia. So, for example, majority opinion is you can force you're a father, you're a father, you can force your daughter to get married against her will. Majority opinion. And you're like, over my dead body, right? Never will I ever let that happen in any society that I'm in. If I ever hear of any family forcing their daughter to get married, I will personally go to their house and beat them up and call the police on them and fight for their rights. So there's a big difference between the majority opinion is A as opposed to Islam is A. So it is not true to say that Islam says you can force your daughter to get married. It's true to say that the majority opinion is that. The Hanafis say no, you can't do that. You can't force your daughter to get married. She's an adult. She chooses what she wants to do, right? So there's a difference between I'm objecting to an opinion or an interpretation versus I'm objecting to Islam, period. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? Okay. So it says we ordained for them in the Torah an eye for an eye, a life for a life, a tooth for an eye for an eye. For example, here you don't believe in this, right? Like you fundamentally do not believe in the death penalty, right? You're like, I don't believe anybody should ever kill anybody. That's wrong, right? If somebody kills somebody, they should not be killed. Okay? And say, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained it. An eye for an eye and a nose for a nose, an ear for an ear, a tooth for a tooth. And for wounds, equal retaliation. How does the system work? Yusuf cuts my hand off. I have a right for his hand to get cut off, right? On the condition that he did it on purpose. If it was an accident, I can take blood money or I can forgive, right? So if he cuts my hand off, I can either have his hand cut off or take blood money, take a compensation, or forgive him. Why would I forgive him? Because if I forgive him, I guarantee that I get forgiven. Right? And whoever waives it charitably, it will be an atonement for them. You just guaranteed your freedom from hellfire. So it's actually useful. On Judgment Day, you will wish that more people wronged you, honestly. Because we're so lame that we can't get ourselves to paradise through our own good deeds. We can get ourselves to paradise through other people wronging us, right? And so you wish that I wish more people wrong me, right? Because you get good deeds because you could have your sins forgiven, etc. Right? And those who do not judge by what Allah has revealed are truly the wrongdoers. Aha. So what did this person do? This person took one verse, treated it in absolute sense, and they didn't look at the rest of the Quran where it says, and those who do not judge by what Allah has revealed are truly the wrongdoers. So are you a wrongdoer or are you a kafir? Right? So you're a kafir if you believe that the Sharia is wrong, and you're a wrongdoer if you enforce that which is wrong while believing that you're doing something wrong. Does that make sense? So this is a classic thing. Any extremist group, what do? Or any weird group. How do you become weird? By taking one hadith, one verse, or a selection of hadiths and just blowing them out of proportion and not looking at them in context, right? I want to give you an example of myself, okay? It's very important to be self-critical. Do you think I'm quite strict about gender interactions? I don't know if any of you have heard my talks or what I talk about. Do you think quite strict? Zaid thinks I'm not. Okay, but I think according to many people, I'm more like the Deobandi, too lenient, Zaid said, right? um, I'm more like Deobandi style than many other people, right? That's the kind of like style that I do, like 100% segregation, right? That's how I kind of fly. But I'm cognizant of the fact that I might be wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain hadiths I will continue to quote those hadiths a lot. Certain things I'll emphasize, right? You listen to my Deep Feminine class, right? But while being cognizant of the fact that like, yeah, you might be wrong, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like there's genuine argument against you with certain hadith, certain things. So that gives you balance. When you see like I might be wrong, I'm doing things this way practically, but I see that other people do something else, right? Music, don't believe in music. It's against the form of dhahib, but totally see that, there's evidence against that, and there's evidence for musical instruments, assuming there's no bad words and bad, content, etc., whatever, right? Um, so that's the difference between somebody who's extreme and not extreme. Like, do you accept that you could be wrong 100%? Are there other ways of looking at things? Yeah, there's about 10 different ways of looking at things, right? Okay. And so it's very important. It's very important to do that, right? You can adopt any position you want, lenient or strict, right? While saying I might be wrong, and there's actually many ways that this could be looked at, right? Hijab, niqab is obligatory. It's obligatory and it's haram for a woman to leave the house. You have an argument. Women should definitely leave the house, and niqab is extreme. You definitely have an argument. Not a problem. Totally believe in you, right? We should have mixed classes in the West, particularly because it's like weird not having a mixed class. We should definitely not have a mixed class, specifically in the West. Totally agree with both points, right? So this is a very important thing. So again, any extremist group, what do they do? Take one ayah, blow it out of proportion. One hadith, blow it out of proportion. Just focus on certain things. They'll keep quoting the same ayahs, the same things, right? وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار, right? You find this person every single time they talk about anything, it's all about bid'ah. They quote one hadith, two hadiths, so that's it. You quote that hadith, quote the fact that Sayyidina Umar, said to the black stone, if I didn't see the Prophet kiss you, I wouldn't have kissed you, right? So therefore, everything that's not directly legislated by any religious activity that's not directly legislated by the Prophet is haram and bid'ah. There we go. Two quotes, three quotes, four quotes. That's it. They have these things that they'll quote again and again. That's the whole deen for them, right? So this person's whole deen is all the Muslims are kuffar. Why? وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Whoever does not judge by the Sharia, then they're a kafir. خلاص. Like that's their whole deen. Is one ayah, right? Whereas that's not how it works. We put the whole Quran and Sunnah together, and you get a better picture. In fact, put the Quran, Sunnah, and a hadith of the Sahaba and Tabi'in. You're like, oh yeah, I get the picture now. Right? So what they'll do, they cut out certain things, leave other things. Right? When you get the whole picture, you get a better picture. So should an American Muslim be wary of working in a legal system like lawyer or judge? Yes, you should in reality. So I wanted to say that. So many people they're like, oh, it's okay, I'm in America, I'm in the West. Da, 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 da. It's like, well, okay, let's who's seen Liar Liar? I always quote Liar Liar, right? There's all these films that I watched when I was like
Yeah.
10 to 14, right? I stopped watching TV
Yeah.
like 14, 15, right? So does he help somebody get a right that's not hers?
Yeah.
Remember, right?
Yeah.
So basically, so she cheats on her husband and she still wants custody, and the kids like want to be with daddy and they're like crying, whatever. And then he uses this really funny trick, like, oh, actually her driver's license wasn't valid, so therefore when they did the marriage contract, it didn't really count, and therefore this and therefore that, right? And it was like, bro, like you just help somebody get a right that's not theirs. So I am in court, okay, and I am helping somebody get a right that is not shara'an theirs. You cannot do that. You can't say, well, it's American system is different. You can't do that. But you could do the other way. So, for example, I stole Zaid's car. Zaid went to my teachers or people who know me and say, like, listen, can you just tell Free to give me my car back? And I'm not listening. So he can't get my right back in a nice way. So the only way he can get his car back is to call the police. So now he's using American law legal system. But they are rights enshrined by the Sharia. You can do that. If you have no choice, you can do that. Right? You can do that. But what you cannot do is defend somebody, fight for somebody's rights that are not theirs, aslan. Right? So you're working, for example, in family law, and now there's going to be, for example, he's gonna, what's it called? What do you pay? What's it called? When you pay um half of your what's it called when the husband and wife, not maintenance.
But
Maintenance might have a base
alimony?
alimony, right? It's not a right you have. Not a right, right? This is really important, right? So sister's like, hey, you're marrying a doctor, ask for a huge mahar because you're not going to get alimony, right? You've been married for 10 years. You helped him finish his residency. You helped him this. You bent over backwards for this guy. And so yeah, you feel like, hey, Ivan actually, the idea in the West is that it's a sharika. Like it's almost like an investment. Like you've invested in your husband, you've invested in your wife. So therefore, when this partnership ends, you should take 50-50, right? That's the idea. But that doesn't exist in Islam. Why? Because sharika is a sharika. If you want to invest in your husband, then hire him. Hire him as a doctor. He can be you can employ him and you get the profits, right? So there's a sharika, that's the thing, like partnership. But marriage is not a partnership. It's not a financial partnership in itself. If you want to make it like that, you can. That's a separate contract. So you don't have right to alimony. So now you're defending, trying to get this woman alimony, and it's like, that's not true. Or maintenance that isn't actually fair, right? So what you have to do for maintenance, you have to go to a mufti and be like, what is actually my maintenance? And then it's like, okay, that's what you can have, no more, right? You cannot receive maintenance that is not yours. Oh, the government gave it to me. Yeah, the government stole it from somebody, gave it to you, right? That's not your right. So just because they do that in the, that doesn't make it acceptable, right? Does it make sense, inshallah? Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. 100%, yeah. It's called theft. So this is the problem, Sister Ilham, right? Is that, it's like, I'm talking to this extremist, right? And he's like, yeah, whoever doesn't judge by that which Allah has revealed. It's like, well, there's a truth in it. It's not true. There's a truth in it. It's like, dude, the way you look at the world, your morals are based on Disney and Hollywood, and your legal system is based on people who have raped and pillaged, right? That's America, right? I'm just straight, right? That's what it is. Like you stole someone else's country, and this is your legal system. So, like, how are you Muslim? I mean, I'm not saying you're a kafir, but I'm saying like that your deen is not Islam. Your deen is you grew up with Disney and Hollywood, right? Yeah, but not in contradict, not in contravent, not when it contravenes the Sharia. So you want to say, for example, hey, you're not allowed to speed. Okay, fine. You're not allowed to do this, not to do that. But not when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says you don't have that right. Right? And so abiding by the law of the land, are you obliged? Are you obliged? Are you obliged to receive alimony? Right. So Ilham, this is where the ignorance comes in. People don't study fiqh and then you get problems. So you say, sister, how old are you? Okay, I'm 20. You're 20-year-old. Okay, what are you doing right now? Well, I'm in the middle of college. Okay. You want to get married. Fantastic. What's going to happen tomorrow? So, well, my husband and I are going to work, and then actually I might leave work for the kids and da 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 da, right? Assuming that my husband's not going to dump me at some point, right? Suddenly, 10 years later, I'm now 30, 35, 40, and it didn't work out, and we had a divorce. Fantastic. Did you prepare financially for that? No. Why not? The Sharia already has something there. Very simple. You have mahar. Mahar muqaddam, mahar mu'ajjal. So you're at college, the guy doesn't have any money, okay? And he says, I'll give you $1,000. Here we go. Here's $1,000 and a ring. Khalas. Okay? But the mahar mu'ajjal is $500,000. So now he's 40. He's just sold his company for $2 million. Okay? And he's basically given up on the family for the sake of work. And you're going through a divorce. And he's like, okay, sure. Give me my mahar mu'ajjal. So what's your mahar mu'ajjal? $500,000. It's like, okay, goodbye. There we go. And now she walks off with $500,000. The deen already gave her protection. They don't need to be protected, right? But what do? We don't trust the deen and we trust the kuffar. That's how it is. Simple as that. We don't do anything, right? Yeah, that's so that to abide by American laws means it does not mean you're not obliged. Are you obliged to take alimony by law? No, you're not. Doesn't make any sense, right? So if you're obliged to, so
Mm.
me, for example, let's say I'm in America, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to pay it. Sue me. Yeah, we will sue you. We'll put you in prison, right? In fact, what they will do is they say, here's your salary, Fareed. Whether you want to or not, we are going to take the money from your salary. You do not have a choice, right? That's what they're gonna do, right? I'm trying to get a loan for a house. They're gonna see what is your alimony, right? Applying for a credit card. They're gonna be like, what's your alimony? Because they know this is gonna come out of well, this is your salary. Show us your pay stubs, and they're gonna take it whether you like it or not. You don't have a choice. So that's not even abiding. That's called id'an. That's just being forced. But as a woman, I'm not obliged to receive that money. I'm not obliged to, right? So that's not called a being obliged to abide by this. It's totally different. Like, somebody says, for example, polygamy is haram in the West because you've already agreed not to do polygamy. Okay, I can see there's some basis for that. There's some basis for that, right? I can understand that. Like you have to pay your taxes or you have to, I don't know what it is, like, some of these things. But here, this is the court is giving you a right that you have a choice to take or not. You don't have to take that. So she is not a criminal if she does not receive alimony. That's not true. So that's not really an argument. Go ahead, Zaid. Zaid, you want to say something?
Can you hear me, Sheikh?
Zaid,
Sorry.
go ahead.
No,
Yeah, sorry about that.
No.
Jazakallah khair. The concept you just explained of mahr, I think is mu'ajjar. Is that the same as like the concept like mu'akhar?
Yeah, مهر
Like
مؤجل مؤخر, same word. Yeah.
same word.
تأجيل تأخير, same thing. Yeah.
So a question I had is I had a friend who like was gonna get married, but like that topic came up and like something that was discussed was that like that type of agreement, it's a debt on the husband. So let's say he were to pass away or something, like that money is still owed even if they don't divorce. Is that
I'm not sure because it's a Hanafi issue. I'm not sure if that applies if you die or not.
oh okay, never mind.
I
I
don't know.
just sorry about that. Jazakallah khair.
But it's a really good thing, right? Because you're like, hey, I'm 15, I want to get married. Sure, Habibi, go ahead and get married. But so what happens if you divorce her? You're gonna owe her $50,000. You're 18. Do you have $50,000 in your pocket, Habibi? No. Okay, go and think alf marra. Go and think 50,000 times before you divorce her. And it's a very good, clever buffer. In principle, the mahar should be low. It is sunnah for the mahar to be low. That's in principle. But again, we're dealing with the default is everybody's immature, right? And that's not 21st century. That's for the last 1,000 years. All Muslims are immature. And people only do things because they're forced, right? It's basically people don't, they call it in the Farsi, they have this word, Salt Musulman. Salt Musulman is like people who are only Muslim by virtue of the fact of the salt, of the whip. Like they will only do moral things because they will be punished otherwise, right? So there's no harm in that, right? There's no harm in that, like I'm assuming you're an idiot, right? Because you're 20, and most men who are 20 are idiots. So I'm assuming you're going to wrong this woman. So I'm going to defend her. Why not? You can get married to her right now. You have £500. Go ahead. You're going to go live with her. But if you decide to divorce her, you will have to pay her an amount of money that you can't afford. So too bad. Basically, man up and deal with it and work the relationship out. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So then Sister Fahmiya asks a very important question, and again, it comes into fiqh. Okay. So I'm traveling with Zaid. Okay, I'm traveling with Zaid. Zaid and I are traveling together. Every now and then we stop for coffee. I buy the coffee. Every now and then we stop for food. I buy it. One flight, there was some issue, and I basically paid for his flight. At the end of this travel around, he's traveling around the States, he makes $100,000. And I look at him like, bro, like, and he's like, what? And I'm like, I mean, one of the flights you couldn't have done without me. I helped you out here and there. Like you're gonna pay me back or what? He's like, so Zaid turns around and says, Fareed, what you gave me was a gift. Okay, So you gave me a gift. It's called a gift, or it's hadiyah, or it's called sadaqah, right? So it's either a gift, meaning money you give to somebody out as an honor, or sadaqah, meaning money you give to somebody because they're in need, right? Either of them are not debts, right? And so you cannot, and the Prophet ﷺ said, anybody who gives a gift and asks for it back is like a dog going back to eat the vomit. So a woman, for example, she says when things were nice, she was contributing to the family and significantly paying half of the expenses. And now it's all fallen apart. And she feels like, man, that's really bad. Like, why did I even contribute? And I'm like, yeah, sister, why did you contribute? She's like, well, I thought it like this. It's like, well, don't think of it like this. You either did charity or a loan. So if it's a loan, make it clear. Husband, I'm lending you some money. I want this money back. Or this is an investment. I'm going to hire you. You can hire your husband, right? So your husband's a doctor and he can't afford to get by. So you say, you know what? I'm going to hire you, right? So now there's a business where I hire you as a doctor. I get all the money that comes in and I pay you a salary. So you made money out of your husband. He can be your employee, right? So you could invest in your husband financially. You could lend your husband money, or you could give him a gift or give him charity. 4 different things, right? But you cannot come and give somebody a gift or give somebody charity and say, give me my money back. You can't do that. And this, on an emotional level, this is very, very important. Never give your husband anything, ever. Don't do anything for your husband. Don't make him a cup of tea. Don't smile for him. Don't dress up for him. Don't give him charity. Do it for Allah, because it's going to come back and bite you like you never dreamed of before. You smile for the sake of Allah. You make him a cup of tea for the sake of Allah. You entertain his guests for the sake of Allah. You look after, you take your mother-in-law to the bathroom for the sake of Allah, because then on Judgment Day, it's all for the sake of Allah. But if you do it for a person, people are never worth it. The punishment of doing things for people/dunya is that you get slapped in the face. The reward of doing things for the sake of Allah is that you get nur in your life and ajr in this life and the next. So the punishment for dedicating yourself to a person, which is the same as the dunya, is that you get nothing. There's no difference between somebody chasing a career and chasing pleasing somebody and somebody chasing, it's all the same. Don't try and impress people. Don't try and win people's hearts. Win Allah and you win everything else. Does that make sense, Sister Fahmiya? It was a very painful process to go through, that you invested emotionally in somebody and then they slapped you in the face, right? Emotionally. It's very painful, I know. But whose fault is it? قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. We all recite it, but we don't know it. We all say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, but we actually make our wife the sharik of Allah. You make your husband the sharik of Allah. You make your career, you make your health, you make whatever worries you have. Any worry that is not Allah and His contentment with you is a sharik of Allah. Right? So what happens to people who are the mushrikeen? Right? So it's extremely painful. I'm not saying, take it. We're all in that situation, right? We've all been in that situation where you emotionally invest in somebody and it's like, ow, that hurt, right? But the pain is only our product of us investing in the wrong thing. Exactly. I'm in the same boat as Ilham, right? I'm a human like you, right? It's easier said than done, right? You can. How do you emotionally disconnect from Allah, from your spouse? By connecting to Allah and connecting to them through Allah. Right? I'll give you an example with my cat. Okay, I was talking about these scenarios with the cat. You walk past the cat and the cat looks cute. Stop. You say, no, I'm not going to stroke the cat because it's cute, because that's dunya. I'm going to stroke the cat because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to show mercy. So now I'm connected to the Rahman, and the Rahmah is flowing through me, and it's now to the cat. Now it's all Iman. Does that make sense? So you see, particularly as a husband, you look at the husband as the Kaaba. Do you worship the Kaaba or do you worship Allah through the Kaaba? Right? So the same thing. Why do I listen to this guy? Why am I submissive to this guy? Right? He doesn't deserve it, right? If your husband deserves it, come and tell me. I don't think he deserves it, right? I don't think there's a single husband that deserves half of what women do, right? For their husband, for themselves. They don't deserve it, but Allah deserves it, right? Your kids don't deserve it. Your kids don't deserve it, but you're not worshipping your kids. You're worshipping Allah through your kids. The Kaaba, the bricks of the Kaaba deserve sujood. If you believe that, you're a kafir, right? You think that you can do sujood to the Kaaba itself, right? So imagine, like, literally, this is what people do. They do sujood to the Kaaba itself. It's like, that's shirk. It's not iman, is it? So it is very, very important. The more you turn to your husband or wife, the further away you'll be away from them. The more you turn to Allah, the closer you'll be to them. 100% rule. The more you turn to your husband or wife, the worse your relationship is going to be. The more you turn to Allah, the better you're going to have better akhlaq. You're going to have more patience. You're going to have more clarity. Everything's going to work out. Right? 100% rule. So it's like an arrow. Somebody did this diagram. There's this diagram, husband and wife. They did this diagram like this. Really good diagram. Okay. So here's husband or other person. You can either just say people in general, right? And here's wife. How did they get close to each other? Allah. They go up the ladder. Right? They go up this way. And that's how they, one second. They go up the ladder and they get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, they're always distant. You will be distant from every other piece of creation. You'll be distant from your cat, from the wall, from the earth, from the air that breathes into you. As long as you're not turning to Allah, you're going to be distant from everybody. You will always have fundamental problems. But ilham, is it actually complex? Or is it actually painfully obvious?
No, it's painfully obvious.
Right? It's just like, it's like somebody saying, I don't know, like the most basic thing in the world, right? It's like, yeah, just turn to Allah and everything will work out. It's like, yeah, we've heard it, but So this is a really key thing. Don't see people, see Allah, everything's easy. See people, everything's hell. Like, it just goes all off, right? So never do anything for anybody. I remember like a key scenario that happened to me. SubhanAllah, like you have to go through things to find out stuff, right? So there was this person, he's like a sheikh in my community. He's quite influential, like he's quite manipulative actually as well. So once I came back from Fajr, I'm going to sleep, and he calls me up. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't usually answer my phone, but he's like older than me, and like I have to kind of show respect to him, right? So then he's like, oh, Fareed, do you have this? And I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, can you do this? And I'm like, yeah. So then I basically asked me to do something that really inconvenienced me. Okay. So then I didn't go to sleep, and I went and did this thing that was really inconvenienced, and I felt like off. I felt like something was not right. Okay. And so then I went and asked one of my teachers. I said, basically this person who's kind of manipulative, he asked me to do something kind of awkward, and I did it. And I said, I don't feel right about it. He said, yeah, what you did was haram. What you did was haram. So submitting, what happened was I submitted to someone's manipulation. Like he's a good speaker, he's kind of older than me, he's a sheikh, So there's submitting to manipulation itself was haram, as opposed to khidmah of the deen and khidmah of I see he's older than me, I'll do it, right? So doing it for the sake of what he is in Allah's eyes, alhamdulillah, ibadah. Doing it for the sake of him, haram. You see that? Like succumbing to someone's manipulation itself is haram. So I could do the exact same action for a different reason. It's fine. You know? But you're actually in a total different world. Like I did this for my wife. I did this for my husband. Don't do things for your husband. Do it for the sake of Allah. Right? And then obviously I did this haram thing for my husband. I did this haram thing for my wife. How could you do it for the sake of Allah? Obviously there's going to be wrong. You know? Obviously it's going to make it wrong. You know? But like, okay, I bought this thing. I spent this thing. I spent all this money. Well, don't spend money on your husband. Right? Say my husband doesn't exist. My wife does not exist. They are just an app that allows me to worship Allah. That's all. Right? And so if you think Allah wants you to give all your money to your husband as sadaqah, that's sadaqah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's sila, as the Prophet said, it's called silat al-rahim. Like your husband is the best person to give charity to. That's true. So if that's what Allah wants you to do, you worship Allah through doing that. You don't give him the money. You gave Allah the money. There's a big difference. وَمَن يُقْرِضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا. Right? Who will give to Allah a goodly loan? Right? There's fundamental spiritual difference, night and day. And then what did he do? He went and cheated on you with the money you gave him. Irrelevant. I didn't give it to him. I don't have a personal. And a flip side of that, my dad, right? My dad, rahimahullah, my relationship with him was 90% spiritual, 10% personal. So when he died, what happened? Was I sad?
Of course.
I was sad, right? I remember my daughter saying like, "Oh, what's daddy doing?" Like she never seen me cry like that. Like, "Oh, what's daddy doing?" Right? But it wasn't not a big deal. I didn't really lose that much. You know, I think about his hands. Sometimes he had big hands. I think about, you know, some funny things. I think, oh yeah, like I remember right in the beginning, but like, oh yeah, I'll tell Papa, and it's like, oh, he's not alive. I'm like, whoops, you know. But it was like not a big deal because my relationship with him was 90% spiritual. So what did I lose? Nothing. I lost 10% of my dad, right? 10%. You know, it didn't lose 100%. But if you have like your life is your pet rabbit. Like my mum, she told me the story. She said, you know, she had these exams once when she was a little girl, and her puppy was sick, and she was looking after this puppy or kitten, I can't remember what it was, and basically she's up the whole night with this kitten. Her life is this kitten, right? And now the kitten dies, so like your life just blows off, right? Your life is your husband, your life is your child, your life is your career, your life is the dunya, and then you disappears and your life blows apart, right? So if you have a spiritual relationship with your husband, with your children, with the table, with the food, then the food falls on the floor. It doesn't matter. You spent, Sister Elham, your Philistinian?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're making maqluba, right? And you spent like 5 hours making maqluba, right? And then they flipped it and literally fell on the floor. Like, come on, Habibi, what's your problem? You know, like that took ages. Or what is it? The thing that you roll in the grape leaves, like it takes forever. You know, yeah, it's like, you know, so like for crying out loud, never make it, right? Because it's a waste of time unless you do it for the sake of Allah, right? Otherwise, that took like 5 hours making this thing, and then your mother-in-law said it tastes like zift, you know? It's like subhanAllah, right? Like, oh my God, I did it just to please my husband, just so that he's like, oh, my mom's saying this, and she said it tastes horrible. Like, what's the point? So whose fault is it? Your fault. Right? Your fault. You invested emotionally in the wrong thing. Don't do it. Right? Don't emotionally invest in anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? That's what La ilaha illallah means. Right? Make sense, inshallah? And if you want to be close to your cat, to your printer, to your laptop, to your kids, to your husband, to your wife, to the universe, right? To the environment, turn to Allah. Simple as that. If you want to be distant, then turn to them. Inshallah, I'm going to stop here, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah, and don't make Diwali. I don't think it's honestly a waste of time, right? Like I tell my wife this all the time, like don't make that stuff, right? Do you think the Salaf would make the Diwali? I don't know.
I don't personally believe in cooking anything that my mom likes to make it for us, like when we go back to visit to Chicago,
Yeah,
and
so
I'm like, please don't, please.
so it's kind of like it's like if it takes 5 hours, like honestly, like if it takes half an hour, like a big deal, right? It's like okay, so this is also attitude of the dunya, and is like okay, there's the spiritual aspect, but like why did we invest so much? So making Diwali and buying a Mercedes, like you don't need a Mercedes. Another car will do the same thing, right? So it's nice to have nice food, but that much effort, right? I don't think the Sahaba did that. They didn't even have flour for crying out loud. So like simple things, like just keep life simple, right? And a lot of these things, like once upon, for a guest is different. Your guest really likes Diwali, right? Your friend's like, oh, can you make it? Like, sure, I'll work for 15 hours, 2 days, 3 days to make the food for you. That's very different for your guests, right? Or for the kids are like, oh, mama, we're gonna have this. Oh, it's Ramadan, right? I remember as Ramadan, like it was really nice having croissant in the morning, hot croissant. I remember having cake in the afternoon. I remember these things. So like making memories for your kids, maybe. But as like a normal person, like, bro, any kind of caffeine that keeps you awake, that's good enough. Any kind of food that's nice, right? It's not too spicy, it's not too this, like it doesn't matter. One of the Salaf, he said, like Hassan Basri, he said this. He said, I've known people, they've never asked their wives to make any particular food for like 70 years. Because that's like a dumb question. Like, why would you talk to your wife about food? Right? Unless, for example, it's a emotional thing. Oh, sweetheart, can you make this for me? And she's like, yeah, anything for you, right? You're trying to, she's trying to, that's something very different, right? But the fact is, like, you actually want, like, you specifically want this kind of food. That's called hubb ad-dunya, habibi, right? So, we shouldn't be like that. May Allah protect us. Right? Daddy always asked for a latte. Is that true, Mikhail? Yeah, but what's the difference? The difference is I asked for a latte, but I don't actually care what it is. It's like I'm just here because whatever. Like I'm falling asleep. So if you can make either, sure, I'll go with latte. Then I don't know, Americano. Tastes disgusting, right? But really anything that works. Khair, inshallah. We'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala. And simple conclusion. احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. Look out for Allah. I choose Allah over everything else, and you will find Allah in front of you. Right? Simple. And don't do it. You won't find Allah in front of you, and your life will be very complex and it'll be very difficult, and everything will be falling apart in your face. And you'll be like, why is everything falling apart in my face? Because you didn't turn to Allah. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. You didn't do that. Can you share that quote in the which quote?
About finding Allah, if you look for
Okay,
Allah.
inshallah. Yeah. Inshallah. And who the Prophet told that to who? To a kid who's like 12 years old, Ibn Abbas, right? He said, I was on the back of the horse with the Prophet, and he said, Ya ghulam, kid, I want to tell you something. So may Allah protect us. Inshallah, I'll share that hadith. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك